Alan's footsteps echoed through the dimly lit corridor as he made his way down the narrow hallway. Flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the aged wallpaper, giving life to the intricate patterns that seemed to move in the corners of his vision. A cold draft rustled his hair, and he shivered, wrapping his arms around himself. The air was heavy with a musty scent, like memories long forgotten. Cobwebs hung in delicate threads, catching glimmers of light as he brushed past. The door at the end of the hallway creaked open with a drawn-out groan, revealing a room steeped in shadows. A sense of foreboding hung in the air, almost palpable. Alan's heart quickened, but curiosity propelled him forward. He stepped inside, his eyes adjusting to the darkness. Moonlight filtered through dusty curtains, casting a silvery glow upon an antique vanity adorned with tarnished mirrors and delicate perfume bottles. Their contents had long evaporated, leaving behind a hint of lavender and nostalgia. A faint whispering sound filled the room, like a chorus of secrets shared by unseen entities. Alan strained to listen, his breath caught in his throat. The words were indistinct, yet their urgency was unmistakable. As he moved closer to the vanity, a photograph caught his eye. A young woman with dark, flowing hair and a hauntingly beautiful smile stared back at him. Her eyes seemed to follow his every move, and a chill ran down his spine. A sudden gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles with a soft hiss. Darkness enveloped him, and the whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices intertwining in a symphony of eerie resonance. The moon hung low in the sky, its soft glow painting the world outside with a silvery hue. Alan stood by the window, staring out into the night, lost in thought. The whispers from the previous night still echoed in his mind, a haunting reminder of the secrets that surrounded him. A gentle breeze rustled the curtains, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and distant rain. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the cool air wash over him, a brief respite from the oppressive atmosphere within the old mansion. A rustling sound drew his attention to a nearby bookshelf. The volumes were ancient, their leather spines cracked and weathered. Alan reached out to touch one, and as his fingers brushed the cover, a shiver coursed through him. It was as though the book held a connection to something far beyond his understanding. Turning away, he explored the room further, drawn to an ornate fireplace. The embers within cast a warm, flickering light, dancing shadows across the intricate carvings that adorned the mantel. His fingers trailed along the edges, and he wondered about the hands that had created such intricate beauty. A soft sigh seemed to emanate from the hearth, a whispered echo of the past. Alan's heart raced, and he took a step back, his gaze fixed on the dancing flames. It was as though the very essence of the room held memories of its own, waiting to be unearthed. A series of faint footprints marred the layer of dust on the floor, leading towards a heavy oak door. Alan's curiosity led him to the threshold, and he hesitated before turning the tarnished knob. The door groaned open, revealing a staircase that descended into darkness. With each step he took, the air grew colder, the walls closing in around him. His heart pounded in his chest, and he felt a presence beside him, an unseen companion guiding him further into the depths. The whispers grew louder, their urgency now tinged with desperation. The staircase descended deeper into the heart of the mansion, the air growing colder and more oppressive with each step. Alan's hand trailed along the rough stone wall, the uneven surface sending shivers down his spine. The flickering flame of a solitary candle greeted him as he reached the bottom of the stairs. Its feeble light cast elongated shadows that danced along the walls, playing tricks on his perception. He moved cautiously forward, the echoes of his footsteps sounding hollow and distant. An intricate tapestry adorned the chamber's wall, depicting scenes of a bygone era. Warriors in ornate armor clashed with monstrous creatures, their faces etched with determination. Alan traced the contours of the tapestry with his fingers, the texture rough against his skin. A soft breeze rustled the fabric, causing the figures to seem almost lifelike, frozen in the midst of battle. He could almost hear the clash of swords and the roars of the mythical beasts, a symphony of chaos and courage. As he turned away from the tapestry, his gaze fell upon a small alcove tucked in the corner of the chamber. Within it sat an intricately carved pedestal upon which rested a worn leather-bound journal. Its pages were yellowed with age, the ink faded and delicate. With a mixture of curiosity and trepidation, Alan opened the journal. The handwriting was elegant and precise, each word a window into the thoughts of its author. He read of distant lands, forbidden knowledge, and the yearning for something beyond the mundane. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the candle, plunging the chamber into darkness. The journal slipped from Alan's grasp, its pages fluttering like the wings of a trapped bird. Panic welled within him, and he fumbled for his own pocket flashlight, its feeble beam cutting through the shadows. A faint whisper reached his ears, the words barely audible yet filled with urgency. It was as though the very walls held secrets, eager to reveal themselves to those who dared to listen. The old mansion's grand hallway stretched before Alan, its opulent decor contrasting sharply with the eerie ambience that had settled within. Moonlight filtered through stained glass windows, casting kaleidoscopic patterns onto the marble floor. A distant echo caught his attention, a faint footfall that seemed to reverberate through the air. He froze, his senses heightened as the sound drew nearer. A figure emerged from the shadows, its form shrouded in darkness. The visitor's silhouette was framed by a tall arched doorway, its features obscured by the dim lighting. Alan's breath caught in his throat, uncertainty mingling with a strange sense of recognition. The figure beckoned him forward, its movements graceful and almost hypnotic. A soft whisper reached his ears, the words muffled yet laced with an undercurrent of urgency. It was as though the visitor sought to convey a message, a puzzle waiting to be deciphered. Alan hesitated, his heart pounding, before taking a cautious step forward. The visitor's eyes glinted in the moonlight, revealing depths of knowledge and mystery. There was an unspoken connection between them, a bridge formed by the shared curiosity of the unknown. Alan's fingertips brushed against a worn wooden doorframe, its texture grounding him in the moment. A gust of wind swept through the hallway, extinguishing the candles that lined the walls. Darkness enveloped them, and the visitor's figure seemed to blur and dissipate, leaving behind a lingering presence that sent shivers down Alan's spine. With a sense of both trepidation and determination, Alan pressed forward, his footsteps echoing through the empty corridor. The whispers grew louder, a symphony of secrets that swirled around him, their meaning just beyond his grasp. Alan ventured deeper into the heart of the mansion, guided by the ethereal whispers that seemed to reverberate through the very walls. The corridor he found himself in was narrow, the air heavy with a sense of abandonment and decay. The room was filled with forgotten relics, their shapes obscured by dust and the passage of time. A rusted music box sat atop a dusty desk, its delicate melody a distant memory. Beside it, a faded photograph rested in an ornate frame, the faces within frozen in a moment of joy. A sense of sorrow hung heavy in the air, the weight of the past pressing down upon Alan's shoulders. The whispers grew louder, their words now tinged with melancholy, as though the very walls wept for what had been lost. As he stepped further into the room, his flashlight's beam fell upon a shattered mirror, its shards scattered across the floor like fractured memories. His reflection stared back at him, fragmented and distorted, a haunting reflection of his own journey into the unknown. Alan's footsteps echoed through a dimly lit chamber, the air heavy with the scent of dust and decay. The walls were adorned with faded tapestries that depicted scenes of grandeur and opulence, a stark contrast to the desolation that now reigned. He moved further into the room, drawn to an ancient oak desk that stood in the center. Its surface was cluttered with yellowed papers, the handwriting illegible and foreign. As he sifted through the documents, his fingers brushed against a brittle parchment, and he carefully unfurled it. The writing revealed a tale of lost love and tragic destinies, a narrative that seemed to mirror the melancholic atmosphere that pervaded the mansion. The ink had bled and smudged in places, as though the very words were reluctant to reveal their secrets. A series of old leather-bound books lay stacked upon a nearby bookshelf, their spines cracked and worn with age. Alan gingerly pulled one from the shelf, and as he opened it, a puff of dust filled the air. The pages contained symbols and diagrams that were both enigmatic and mesmerizing. A gust of wind swept through the chamber, causing the candle flames to flicker and dance. Shadows seemed to come alive, their shapes twisting and shifting as though the very walls were whispering secrets of their own. Alan's heart raced, and he felt a surge of both excitement and trepidation. A rustling sound drew his attention to a corner of the room, where a heavy curtain swayed gently in the breeze. He approached cautiously, his fingers brushing against the fabric as he pulled it aside. His breath caught as he revealed a concealed passage, its entrance hidden from prying eyes. The passage led into darkness, its depths shrouded in mystery. Alan hesitated, uncertainty warring with his curiosity. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of voices urging him forward, as though the very mansion itself beckoned him to unearth its long-buried truths. The concealed passage led Alan into a chamber unlike any he had seen before. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings, depicting scenes of a forgotten history. He traced his fingers along the etchings, the texture rough yet strangely comforting. A single ornate pedestal stood at the center of the room, upon which rested a small, intricately designed box. Its surface was adorned with delicate patterns that seemed to shift and change as though alive. Alan's pulse quickened, a mix of fascination and apprehension coursing through him. The lid of the box was heavy and cold beneath his touch, and as he lifted it, a soft glow emanated from within. A shimmering light danced across his fingertips, casting an otherworldly radiance that illuminated the chamber. His heart raced as he peered inside, his breath catching in his throat. Nestled within the box was a jeweled amulet, its facets reflecting the light in a mesmerizing display. The gemstone seemed to hold a secret, a glimpse into a realm beyond the mundane. Alan's fingers brushed against the amulet's surface, and a jolt of energy surged through him, a connection forged between him and the artifact. A series of whispered words echoed in his mind, a language he couldn't understand yet felt strangely familiar. The room seemed to pulse with a palpable energy, as though the very walls were alive and pulsating with a hidden power. A sudden chill enveloped the chamber, causing Alan's breath to mist in the air. Shadows danced along the walls, their forms shifting and morphing into eerie shapes. He felt as though he were standing at the precipice of something ancient and powerful, a force that had slumbered for far too long. As he replaced the amulet within the box and closed the lid, the room returned to its silent stillness. The whispers faded, leaving behind a sense of anticipation and uncertainty. Alan hesitated, his hand lingering on the box before he turned to leave the chamber, the weight of the artifact's presence still lingering in his mind. Alan's footsteps echoed through a narrow corridor as he retraced his path through the mansion. The weight of the jeweled amulet pressed against his chest, a constant reminder of the power it held within. The walls seemed to close in around him, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. A flickering candle cast eerie shadows along the walls, the flames dancing as though in a hypnotic trance. Alan's breath caught as he caught sight of a painting that adorned the hallway, its colors muted and faded with age. The figures within seemed almost lifelike, their expressions frozen in a silent scream. A series of ornate sconces lined the corridor, their once beautiful designs now tarnished and worn. Alan's fingers brushed against the metal as he passed, his footsteps echoing in the emptiness. He felt as though he were moving through a dream, a world both familiar and strange. A door stood ajar, its hinges creaking softly as a breeze rustled through the corridor. Alan pushed it open, revealing a room shrouded in darkness. The faint glimmer of starlight filtered through a window, casting ethereal patterns upon the floor. In the center of the room stood an intricately designed pedestal, similar to the one he had encountered before. This time, it cradled a delicate crystal sphere that seemed to hold a swirling mist within. Alan's reflection danced upon its surface, distorted and fragmented. A sense of unease settled within him as he gazed into the sphere, a feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The whispers returned, their words a haunting melody that sent shivers down his spine. It was as though the very fabric of reality was beginning to fray, revealing glimpses of a hidden truth. As he tore his gaze away from the crystal, a feeling of urgency compelled him to leave the room. The whispers followed him, their voices growing fainter as he retreated back into the corridor. The darkness seemed to cling to his footsteps, a veil that whispered of secrets waiting to be unveiled. Alan's footsteps echoed through a grand hall, its ceiling soaring high above him. The walls were adorned with portraits of solemn-faced individuals, their eyes seeming to follow his every move. He felt like an intruder in a gallery of forgotten souls. The floor beneath his feet was a mosaic of intricate patterns, each tile telling a story of its own. He traced the lines with his gaze, lost in the symphony of colors and shapes. It was as though the very architecture of the mansion held its own secrets, waiting to be deciphered. A massive chandelier hung from the ceiling, its crystals glinting like stars in the night sky. The room was bathed in a soft, golden light that seemed to emanate from within the fixture itself. The air was thick with a sense of anticipation, as though the room itself held its breath. Alan's eyes were drawn to a massive mirror that dominated one wall, its frame ornate and gilded. He approached cautiously, his reflection staring back at him with an almost mocking smile. The mirror seemed to ripple and shift, as though reality itself were bending and warping. A whisper of movement caught his attention, and he turned to find a figure standing in the shadows. The visitor's face was obscured, yet there was a sense of familiarity that tugged at the edges of Alan's mind. He hesitated, his heart pounding, before stepping closer. The figure extended a hand, palm upturned, revealing an object that glinted in the soft light. It was a key, ornate and delicate, its intricate design captivating and mysterious. Alan's fingers brushed against the cool metal, and a surge of energy coursed through him. The whispers grew louder, their words urgent and insistent. It was as though time itself were unraveling, the threads of reality twisting and twining. Alan felt a sense of determination welling within him, a need to confront the unknown that lay ahead. Alan's steps were resolute as he navigated the winding corridors of the mansion, his heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The whispers that had guided him thus far seemed to crescendo, their voices harmonizing in a chorus of urgency. As he reached the end of a dimly lit passage, he found himself before a set of grand double doors. Their surfaces were etched with intricate symbols that seemed to shift and writhe, as though alive with an otherworldly energy. With a deep breath, Alan reached out and pushed the doors open. Before him lay a chamber unlike any he had encountered before. The air crackled with electricity, and a soft bluish light bathed the room in an otherworldly glow. The walls were adorned with ancient tapestries that depicted scenes of celestial battles and cosmic forces at play. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which rested a massive ornate book. Its pages seemed to shimmer with an ethereal light, and as Alan approached, he realized that the book was the culmination of his journey, a tome that held the answers to the mysteries that had haunted him. He traced his fingers along the edges of the book, feeling a surge of energy that seemed to emanate from within. With a sense of purpose, he opened the pages, and the room seemed to tremble as though the very fabric of reality were shifting. The words on the pages were in an ancient script, their meaning elusive yet tantalizingly close. Alan's heart raced as he began to read, his mind absorbing the knowledge that had been concealed for generations. The whispers that had guided him whispered their final truths, their voices merging into a chorus of understanding. As the last words of the book seeped into his consciousness, the chamber began to dissolve, the tapestries melting away like mist. Alan felt a sense of weightlessness, a connection to a realm beyond time and space. And then, in an instant, he found himself back in his own room, the old mansion and its secrets fading into memory. He lay there for a moment, his heart still racing as the echoes of his journey reverberated in his mind. The moonlight streamed through his window, casting a serene glow upon the world outside. Alan closed his eyes, a sense of closure and fulfillment settling within him.